Okay, so I'm actually going to finish going through one last example of this. This is an optional video, so if you don't feel like watching this, I can go over it with you in class. But for those of you that want to get ahead and get this last example, I'm going to record this for you. So picking up where we left off on the modeling growth and decay, our example says you invested $1,000 in a savings account at the end of 6th grade. The account pays 5% annual interest. How much money will be in the account after 6 years? Okay, so we're using our equation we just went over up there. So the first thing, I want to determine if it's an appropriate model or exponential growth or decay, it's an appropriate model. It usually is if it is a percentage. If you're talking about percent increase or percent decrease, that is always going to be an appropriate method for exponential models will always be an appropriate method for doing that. So the next thing I want to do after that is define my variables. So to define my variables, again, I have the equation AT equals A times 1 plus R to the T. A of T is going to equal the amount of money in the account after T years. And T is going to be the number of years since it was invested. So the next thing I'm going to do, what about these other variables in this equation? I know A is the initial amount, which is $1,000. I know, or so, sorry, I'm doing step 2, determine values for variables. So A is $1,000. R, I want to note, percents must be turned into decimals. So when I do this, R is actually going to be 0.05 because I turn 5% to 0.05. And then T is going to be the number of years, which we said is 6. So then I'm just going to substitute these values. And I get A of 6 equals 1,000 times 1 plus 0.05 to the 6th. And I'm going to solve that out. So I get A of 6 equals 1,000 times 1.05 to the 6th. When I do that out, I get 1,000 times, I plugged this into my calculator earlier, but 1.34, and then there's a bunch of decimals. When I multiply those out, I get 1,340.0956, and it goes on. But since I'm working with money, I know I have to round it to 2 decimal places, so I get 1340.10, and that is my answer. So after 6 years, we have made $1,340.10. So that's how we use this model. We'll practice this some more in class, but make sure you write down any questions, comments, concerns you have so we can go over them together.